But sadly, the two queens could never make friends. They were always fighting and arguing over the silliest things, even though they were neighbors. Let's see what they're arguing about today.
I like chocolate candy. I don't. I like jewelry. I don't. I like chocolate cake. I don't. I like candy. I don't. I like the sun. I don't. I like the moon. Wow.
Lucky for us, the fairy and the page were always roaming the kingdom, trying to keep the peace.
I don't. I like rainbow. Yeah, what she said.
The fairy thought they would enjoy a poem.
I have a poem for you. For your neighbors, lend a hand. Blah, 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 blah. They're not listening to you. Blah, 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 blah.
So then she decided they should draw straws.
Maybe you should draw straws. No!
However, their biggest feud was yet to come. You see, directly between the castles there was the lush garden, which was the only boundary between the two warring households. Each day, the queens called the princesses out to plant more flowers in the amazing garden.
My girl! Go!
The garden was said to grow magical flowers that were both blue and red. These flowers were priceless and could make both queens millions of dollars if sold. But the queens were never satisfied.
More red! More blue! 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 More red!
They eventually got so tired and exhausted they had to go inside and cool off. And eventually this mutual disdain went far beyond the garden and the flower bed. Soon the princesses began competing amongst themselves as well, in such contests as, look what I can do. The red castle started it off.
Watch this.
And eventually they went back inside. Not long after that, the knights were always having duels. Directly in the garden. One stood for red and one stood for blue. The dueling went on for days, until they finally decided to go back home. Weeks went by, they were still dueling.
It's a tie!
And they finally decided to go back to their castles. The two maids were always mudslinging.
Take that! 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 Take that!
And they too went back to their castles. You could also see dragons fighting everywhere.